magic, an invisible chain of sound once more circles the planet.
Toto, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
Welcome to the Kanto with Senior Airman Emily Coons.
Good afternoon. It's 1:07, and you know what that means. I am no longer in the studio alone. Yes, I'm joined by Nastia Liukin, Laurie Hernandez, and Desiree Sanchez. How are you ladies doing?
We're fantastic. We're so excited to be here.
I'm beyond ecstatic that you guys are here. I'm trying not to fangirl out. I'm like, ooh, be a professional. Play the
Fangirl.
music.
Just
It's
fangirl.
okay. It's okay.
Just be you.
Good. Well, we are going to talk all about your careers, your hopes, your aspirations, things that make you cry. So you guys definitely want to stay locked in tight right here. Got great music, of course, all the way in between. This first hit for you guys, this is Lights with Giants on Eagle 810. Keep it locked in tight.
Finish. Laurie Hernandez just killed it.
That is an Olympic gold medal winning moment.
Nastia Liukin lands this dismount. USA goes 1-2 on balance beam.
Get the gold medals ready.
1:12. You're hanging out with your Kanto Coons and Nastia Liukin, Laurie Hernandez, and Desiree Sanchez. Don't know if you know who these ladies are, but they're pretty fantastic. In case you missed out, they are gold medal Olympic gymnast. Olympic? I make up my own words here. Actually, though, I am joined by Desiree Sanchez, who is also just a coach. And also just. I use the word just. You're actually pretty fantastic. You told me you've had a 20-year career so far?
Yes, I've had a 20-year run at this, and I love it. I love working with the kids and getting to work with amazing Olympians like these guys. It's a blessing.
I mean, what specific experience hooked you into just staying with this?
This sport is pretty special. Once it gets into your body and your heart and your mind, you can't get rid of it.
You're stuck with it.
You're stuck with it. It's the best, healthy, wonderful addiction ever. And to be able to share that with other kids and watch them grow and grow that same passion that you have, it's pretty incredible.
So I know it's not all rainbow and butterflies either, though.
Not
There's
always.
going to be some real hard moments.
There's hard moments, but as a coach, to be able to help a child through those moments, or to have someone come up to you and say, you're the reason I stuck with this, or to have gymnasts come back later on and say, you're the reason I became a coach, or that I wanted to be a teacher, or on my darkest days, I remember you used to tell me, you can do this, you can do anything you want. It's the greatest honor ever.
That's so sweet. I wanted to ask you what your hardest moment is, but I seem like it almost doesn't matter. You're like, all the great moments overshadow it.
It is. I mean, sometimes it hurts when you see your gymnast hurting, and there's not always the words to comfort them, and it's growing pains that they have to go through. And having been a competitive gymnast myself, I think it helps being able to know where they're coming from, and when they need the tough love, and when you need to give them space, and when they just need a hug.
And so nowadays you are in New York.
Yes, I'm in New York. I'm in New York at one of the most incredible sports facilities that we have there.
Humble brag.
Yeah, humble brag. I love working there. I work at Chelsea Piers.
Okay.
And we have an amazing program there. We bring in a lot of fantastic athletes and gymnasts like these two ladies here. And it's incredible, the people that come through there, and different athletes of all genres.
Fair enough. I've got to ask you all, because it's probably just the biggest question on my mind. What is it like to be a part of Team USA?
It definitely feels like one of the best honors you could receive as an athlete, because even when you're such a young kid, that's what you strive to be. And so being able to actually go to the Olympics and have a team where you really do feel like sisters with the girls, it's something that you hold dear to your heart probably forever, really.
And I think too, I know all of us really, we watched the Olympics growing up, and so we watched it on TV, and just being able to watch Team USA and just dream about one day wearing that leotard with the American flag on your sleeve and USA on your back. I think that was one of the coolest feelings when you get your first national team apparel box and you're like, I've made it. It's just, you really feel, as Laurie said, so proud and so honored to be able to represent the country.
Now, growing up, so I was, for the briefest moment, did some gymnastics, realized not as flexible as I need to be. Like I feel like a lot of children do, and then they move on to other things sometimes, but some people stick with it, obviously. So I was a swimmer growing up, individual sport, but then also kind of like gymnastics, also a team sport. How do you balance those two things?
Well, I think what always helped me was the better that you can be, the best that you can perform, you're going to help your team out. So obviously you're focused on the team and you're trying to help each other out and cheer each other on. Like, you know, like Desiree said, if someone's having a hard time, you're there for each other. You're there to give them a hug, to tell them that it's going to be okay and to keep trying hard. And but individually, I think knowing that if you can go out there and you can do your best floor routine or best beam routine, then that's ultimately going to help the team. So I think team definitely I felt the most pressure because you're not just doing it for yourself, you're doing it for your, you know, like your sisters, your friends, your teammates, you know, your family, your gym back at home, but also the entire nation. And so definitely a little bit of pressure just because you want to make everybody proud, but it's also, again, just going back to being the biggest honor to be able to represent your country.
No kidding. Definitely a large honor, and I'm so proud of everything you guys get out there. I'm still fangirling. But just to pull it back towards you, one last question, then we'll go into a break, Desiree, is have you ever had to like work with someone who had that hard time going from individual to team and getting them to all work together? What advice do you have for other coaches?
I would say really try to help that gymnast realize that every single person is different, but that one thing that makes them unique is the one thing that's missing from the bigger picture. And if they can embrace what makes them strong, embrace their weaknesses, when you come together, everyone as a whole is going to be a stronger picture, and they need to see that their piece in that puzzle is so vital and so important.
No kidding. Well, thank you so much for all those answers. We're not going really far away. I've got your weather and exchange rates on the way here at Eagle Eye 10, but don't forget to swing by our Facebook page. It's called AFN Tokyo. You can also message us on Instagram or Twitter. Got a couple questions I'm definitely going to pass on via the internets to you guys, so don't miss out on that. Have your weather and exchange rates on the way on Eagle Eye 10, serving America's best.
Gymnastics, folks. I don't understand how they do what they do.
They are absolutely unbeatable. Phenomenal is the word.
They have been a team from start to finish. Laurie Hernandez just killed it.
That is an Olympic gold medal winning moment.
Nastia Liukin lands this dismount. USA goes 1-2 on balance beam.
Get the gold medals ready.
1:30 on the dot. You're still hanging out with your Kanto Coons this Wednesday, August 30th, and I'm just so happy right now. I have Nastia Liukin, Laurie Hernandez, and Desiree Sanchez in with me. Now, gotta go ahead and we gotta connect, Nastia.
Okay, let's connect.
One, congratulations on your engagement.
Oh,
I know
thank
it's been
you.
a while, but
It has.
But for us, that's like news because we just stalked you on Facebook last night.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're going to get married next summer, so it's exciting. It's an
Yes.
exciting new chapter of life.
I know we had a question come in via our Instagram, like what? So if I cannot remember his name because he had too many numbers.
Matt.
But, oh.
My
No, not your
fiance.
fiance.
Oh, okay. I was like, Matt.
No, I was the guy who sent us a question in
Okay.
via Instagram.
Got it.
They want to know what advice you have for couples.
Oh, that's a good question. So Matt and I actually met and we were dating long distance for a little bit. So, so it was kind of like not rough, but like hard, you know, just being far away. So it's been nice that we live in the same place. But I travel so much, and I think I've realized that like 2 weeks is like as much as I can go without getting like little annoying. If I'm being honest with you.
A little clingy.
Yeah. No, but I think, you know, it's really cool. It's obviously a new chapter in my life, as I said, and I was the only child, and for so many years gymnastics was just something that I was so focused on, and it was all about training and competing and, you know, being prepared for that moment. And so it's really fun to kind of put someone else first instead of yourself now, and to really just share life together and to share different experiences, and it's really awesome to have someone right by your side.
No kidding. I feel like a lot of our military audience can relate to you because we put a lot of things first.
Yeah.
And then we usually start a relationship. Most of the time it ends up being a long distance relationship. And how did you guys get through that long distance part?
Well, it's definitely worth it. I mean, it's hard, I think, but with technology, obviously, these days, it's like awesome to FaceTime or to, whatever. I think, the time change can be tough at sometimes, but I was in New York and he was in Boston, so that wasn't too bad. But, I think it's just really learning to understand each other too, and, know that every single person is different, and learning to live with someone, and I was the only child, so I was so used to just like it being about me. And
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, he's obviously amazing and really supportive too, and I think that's important to make sure that you're supporting each other in whatever it is that you're doing, because you have different goals, you have different passions, but then of course you have goals together and passions together, and so it's one big learning experience.
It just ends up being this beautifulness.
Yes.
It's wonderful. So
Yeah.
I know I just went right into it, bugged you about your personal life, but
That's okay.
your professional life, pretty fantastic. You went from, obviously your Olympic career, but now you're a commentator?
Yeah, that's been really awesome. I actually got to commentate Laurie at her Olympics just last year. So it's been really a great transition, but at the same time, sometimes difficult because I know these girls so well, and we've obviously become friends over the years. And when I'm commentating, when I'm on TV, I have to stay completely neutral, which is a little hard to do because I'm sitting literally with like my hands under my seat because I'm so nervous and I want them to do their best and obviously win. And so but then like when I talk, I'm like, I can't pretend that I'm rooting for the US when we have other countries competing. And so
Right.
it's it was challenging, a little bit more challenging than I thought, but it's also really cool. It's a great way to stay involved in the sport and the Olympic movement.
And so are you thinking you'll stay involved in 2020? I know you love Tokyo.
We love Tokyo. Lori and I are saying it's probably one of our favorite cities / Japan, obviously
sure.
countries, and it's just we would obviously both love to be back here in a few years.
So have you found out yet, Laurie?
So no, they actually picked the Olympic team that year, so I won't know for another few years.
That's
but,
too much time.
yeah, I know. But you have to definitely train beforehand for it. You can't really just show up and be like, all right, I'm going.
Yeah. Even if you're already an Olympic gold medalist, you still have to go through the same
Process.
competitions, as just like everyone else. So
That's fair. That makes sense.
yeah.
So I know I hate to bring it up, but I've absolutely heard you talk about your growth from your 2012 trials, and how did you just grow from that? Just immediately too. You're just like, and I got up and I had my standing ovation and confidence instantly.
Yeah.
How much confidence do you have?
Well, going in, so after 2008, after the Beijing Games, going into 2012, it was just something that I knew that I wanted to do because I didn't want to have any regrets. So regardless of if I would have made that Olympic team or not, I knew that I was going to be at those Olympics, whether I was working for NBC or a sponsor or competing on that floor. And so just getting to Olympic trials in itself was an accomplishment because I had taken, a few years off of training. But it was definitely a lot of pressure because you're going in now as the reigning Olympic all-around champion. So it's like, a lot more eyes are on you than like the previous Olympic trials where like no one really knows who you are. And that bar routine that I had, which bars was my best event, I fell face first on a mat. And I remember being so embarrassed and so mortified. I knew like people, you're not supposed to fall. If you're the best in the world, you're supposed to be the best. And so I got back up and I finished that routine. I landed on my feet, and for the first time in my life and career, I had my first standing ovation. So 20,000 people were standing on their feet for the worst routine of my life. And so I remember in the moment being so confused, thinking, they're not even supposed to be clapping or cheering for me. When I won the gold medal in Beijing, nobody was standing on their feet. They were clapping, they were cheering, but, I didn't have a standing ovation. So in that moment, instantly, I kind of realized that people are still going to love you if you don't win. People are still going to love you if you don't come out on top or you're the best. And life is about the journey, and it's really about finding something that you love to do and that you have a passion for. And that's what gymnastics was for me. And yes, I won 5 Olympic medals, but that to me wasn't the defining moment of my life or career. It was when I fell on my face, got back up, and people still stood on their feet. It really made me realize so many things in life, and it just kind of became this moment where it was a very empowering moment, and I think that day I was obviously really upset and had, wanted to make a second Olympic team, but I realized that there's so much more to life beyond just gymnastics and beyond, possibly making a second Olympic team.
No kidding. It's beyond inspiring. And I'm so glad that you were able to come out here to Japan, here at Yokota, and then Yokosuka tomorrow to share your passion.
Yeah, we're so excited. We're obviously so thrilled that Armed Forces Entertainment has brought us out here because it's just been so much fun so far, and this is only our first day, and we're just having a blast and just being able to be all together, and we're really looking forward to the clinics and, just teaching the kids too, obviously some gymnastics, but really just having fun. And that's really what life is about, are those experiences. So we're thrilled.
I'm beyond thrilled. Now, of course, you guys aren't sitting here in the studio with me right now getting to enjoy my own little personal meet and greet. So if you want to catch up with them, 2 chances. One today on Yokota. It's going to be at the Samurai Fitness Center on the main part of base across from the community center. It's 4 to 6 p.m. Now, it's a gym clinic, and it's first come, first serve. And there are no good parking spots over next to the fitness center, so you should get there early.
Don't be late. Just kidding.
Don't want to miss out on that. Now,
not really.
If you're over at Yokosuka, you can go check it out tomorrow at the Purdy Fitness Center. Their meet and greet is from 6:30 to 7:30. It's all hands. It's open to all ages. Nothing really else I need to tell you. I mean, you got all the information here, so go check that out. We're going to get back and just do a little bit of more music, and then we'll be back for Laurie Hernandez to break it down for us.
Gymnastics, folks. I don't understand how they do what they do.
They are absolutely unbeatable. Phenomenal is the word.
They have been a team from start to finish. Laurie Hernandez just killed that.
That is an Olympic gold medal winning moment.
Nastia Liukin lands this dismount. USA goes 1-2 on balance beam.
Get the gold medals ready.
1:46 on your Wednesday, August 30th. You're hanging out with your Kanto Coons, but also joined by way cooler people than me, and I'm pretty cool. I've got Nastia Liukin in here with me. Hey.
Hey.
Laurie Hernandez.
Heyo.
And, of course, Desiree Sanchez.
Hello.
I'm so glad you guys are all here. Now, I've got to go ahead. I need you to come back to Tokyo. I know you're here right now, but please come back in 2020.
Oh, I'd love to. Cross your fingers. I mean, I've been taking a little break since the 2016 Olympics, but I'll be back soon.
Taking a break doing Dancing with the Stars?
Yeah. That was a lot of fun. It's a big change from what I know. I remember Nastia saying before, gymnastics is all we really ever did. And so having to do Dancing with the Stars and dance with a partner and dance in heels, it was all very different, but I loved it.
Right. I mean, you guys are both performers at heart, so.
I think that's, I'm, retired now. But
you're old in gymnast
I'm old.
years.
I'm like ancient now. But
in the 20s is like
old.
Dog years.
Yeah.
Oh,
gymnastics.
But I think that's what I miss most is I can't necessarily say I miss the 7 hours of training every day, but I miss performing. And like you said, we're all at heart performers. So
that's fair. Is that what, got you through? You both did Dancing with the Stars. Is that what really helped you have that little edge?
I think so. Definitely for me, floor and gymnastics was my favorite event because I love to dance and I love to tumble, and we got to mix the two together. And so my floor routine was actually sort of tailored to the crowd. It was like pump-up music. It always made me happy to listen to it. So I was definitely a crowd pleaser as a gymnast, and so going into Dancing with the Stars, I think I just took that same mindset over.
That's fair. And so I need to go all the way back and back up here because you're only 17 years old.
Yes.
going on 27.
No, sometimes just 7.
Depending on the time of day, how much caffeine, how much food you've had. It's true.
It's fair. It's fair. So what age did you start?
I started gymnastics at 5 years old, so 2005.
And so you're just like, Mom, start me up?
Technically, yes. I was just sitting at home one day, and I actually remember seeing Nastia on TV, and I wanted to be graceful and, powerful like her, and so I pointed to the screen, and I looked at my mom, and I said, I want to be just like her when I grow up, and she said, okay. She put me in.
And she's been, right there supporting you this whole way.
So cool, yeah. I remember watching all her competitions when I was little, and I would actually get nervous for her. I think it's more nerve-wracking to watch gymnastics than to actually do it, because you can't control what the gymnast is doing. You're just watching.
Yeah.
So that was definitely a big adrenaline rush for me, especially as a kid.
Well, shout out to Mom, who's actually in the studio with us.
Yay!
Thanks,
She's our mom of the trip.
Taking care care of all of us.
She really
And then,
is.
Nastia, you're still the grandma of the trip, or is that how that works?
I mean, I guess pretty much.
Yeah. No hard feelings.
None taken.
I'm gonna get beat up after my show today. Well, 'cause she is strong and powerful and graceful. It's amazing. I cannot do what you do. I get in the pool where nobody can pay too much attention.
Well, I can't really do that, so I'm like, Mom, Dad, like, you could teach me gymnastics, but you forgot to teach me how to swim. I mean, I can swim, but like,
I'm good
like
at,
a dog.
doggy paddle.
Yes, I like doggy paddle.
I can doggy
it's, like,
paddle.
embarrassing.
I'm short enough to reach the 4-foot ground on the pool. I'm on my tippy toes.
Same, 5'3". It's a struggle.
I like to say 5'1", but technically I'm 5 feet.
Nobody
has to know.
Well, now they do. Posting this on the internet.
Well, you see, with my hair, I'm 5'2".
You know what? You're right.
In heels, I'm like 5'2.5".
So you guys, I was actually going to ask you a little later on what you're not good at, but now we know.
Oh,
It's swimming.
pretty much everything but
Pretty much everything but
gymnastics. Or dancing for you.
Oh,
but-
yeah. I guess,
yeah,
like
I don't know. I think we spent so much time doing gymnastics that we're actually like really, at least I am like clumsy outside of like
Very
everything
clumsy.
Every
else.
gymnast is
We
super
literally
clumsy.
ran into each other walking in the studio and almost
Walking
fell
into
down
this
into the
building.
bushes.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we like just bumped into each other. It was
Maybe
pretty
part
bad.
of it's like the jet lag. Maybe we can blame it on that.
Right.
No, I don't think so. Because we would do that either way.
I was trying to help.
I
us
was
out.
going to give it to you. I was like, yeah, man, that jet lag got me too, but I guess I can't. So that's terrible. Well, now I know. I mean, I'm graced in the fact that I cannot do gymnastics, but like at least maybe I run into people going in the doors. I was trying. I was stretching there, guys. I was trying to make myself feel better, but alas, cannot relate.
Gymnastics.
I am having a terrible time over here.
Oh,
So please break down. I know you've already told me your favorite part of coaching, Miss Desiree, but also, what was the best part of Rio?
The best part of Rio was definitely being able to meet other athletes from around the world, because when you train in the United States, every so often you get to meet other athletes aside from gymnastics, but that can also be rare too. So like the first time I met Michael Phelps was actually at the Olympics, and I know, right?
My heart.
And we get to go to the cafeteria, and that's where you basically see everyone from around the world. You get to see the different body types, you see the different cultures, you just see different athletes, and it's incredible to see people come together from around the world to be here for what they're passionate about. So we got to meet like Usain Bolt, and yeah, I guess just being in the presence of other athletes was my favorite.
No kidding. That's really cool. I'm jealous of your experience, but also am experiencing it right now, which is another thing. No, so you're 17. You started back in the day when you were, just so much younger than you are now.
You know what? I look at pictures of me from last year, I'm just like, oh my goodness, I was a baby.
So it took 11 years to get where you are right now, though. And for me, that's a long time to wait for payoff. What advice do you have for people right now who are working? Maybe they've been doing it 3-5 years, and there's still so much time until they can see that huge payoff. Mm-hmm. What advice do you have for them?
I think the advice that I would give is to be patient with the things that are around you and to be patient with yourself. Because I noticed, even as a gymnast, my most difficult times were understanding that other gymnasts were getting skills around me that maybe I wasn't getting at the time. And I would get angry at myself for not getting these things. But once I learned to just finally be patient and to let time do its thing, I saw the bigger picture. And that really goes for everything. So whether it's gymnastics or it's a job or it's something that you're shooting for in life, it's going to take time and it's going to take a lot of hard work. But the more time and the more hard work you put into it, the better the outcome.
That's really nice. And Miss Desiree Sanchez, I assume that's almost what you tell your athletes.
It is. It's probably the most important thing that they can take away from the sport, because whether you're inside the gym or you're outside, that work ethic and that desire to be able to stick with something when things are really hard, if you can grasp how important that is, you can kind of conquer anything in the gym, out of the gym, as a kid or as an adult. It really stays with you and kind of guides you through life.
I mean, and it obviously had to stick with you because now you are just teaching people how to have that patience.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, I think my favorite level, up to these higher, amazing, elite level gymnasts, all the way down to my little pre-teamers that I have. You know, I always say that's where you learn your gymnastics manners, your life manners, the things that you carry with you at a very, very young age. If you can teach those kids everyone is different. Everyone is going to progress differently. Embrace the things that make you different. And once you do that, you can kind of go anywhere.
I love your message. Embrace the things that make you different. Like you said
It's
earlier,
true.
that sometimes
you gotta laugh at the things you can't control, because
Right?
it's gonna, whether it's bumping into someone or walking into a plate glass window, which I've done before. You can't help it. It's you gotta laugh at yourself and learn when you kind of gotta just throw your hands in the air and just kind of go with it.
Fair enough. So things you do not just go with takes extreme amount of practice. I mean, the amazing precision that you both have on that balance beam. Talk about stressful to watch. Now,
even just looking back, like I don't know about you, it's been a few
routines, I stress out.
It's been like obviously a few years since I've competed, but it's like I don't watch my gymnastics routines every day, but like when you do
Soccer status.
But when you do watch, you're like, you put yourself kind of back in your shoes, like your own shoes, and you're like, how did I do that? Because it's like in the moment, you're just, I guess you're so focused and it just seems so natural when it's all happening. But looking back, you just like look around the arena and you're like, oh my gosh, how did I like live up to that pressure, the expectation, the stress, the nerves, like all of that, and deliver when it most counted. Like we don't get a second chance. And I think obviously if you're telling yourself these things when you're out there competing, that's probably when mistakes happen. But I think now looking back in it, you're like, wow, not only was I physically prepared and trained, but mentally. That's really you have to be like so mentally prepared and trained to be able to do that.
and that actually brings up a question that I had from our Facebook page. This is from Veronica on AFN Tokyo. She said, one, any skill you're too afraid to try, but her other question was, how do you get past those mental blocks? Especially for tucks and releasing bar, which I cannot relate to because I do not do these things.
They were scary.
Yeah, definitely releasing the bar for the first time was actually one of my bigger fears in gymnastics. I was too afraid to actually let go of the bar. I mean, sometimes naturally, like, I would peel off, which happens, but just generally, like, letting go for a release move or for a dismount, it can be scary until the first time you do it. Once you do that first time, you're like, oh, okay, this is what I'm doing. You realize your body knows what it's doing. Maybe your brain doesn't at the time. But it takes a few skills, or it takes a few more tries to really understand what's going on there. So
when it becomes muscle memory. And
Yeah.
like sometimes I think like we do just think a little bit too much because
We
as
do,
you said,
definitely.
it's like your body knows how to do it. So like sometimes just shut your mind off and like go do it. I think it's obviously easier said than done sometimes, but I think that's when, those fears happen. And like I know for me what helped was whether it was watching, if it was a certain skill, watching a video of myself doing it previously or even another gymnast and like shutting my eyes and visualizing it, because it is especially on those skills that you've done before and you can do it and you're just a little bit afraid. You really just, it sounds so cliche, but like believing in yourself is so important because it's muscle memory at that point.
It wouldn't be cliche if we haven't had to say it over and over again, because it's true.
Yeah, it really is.
Well, I, of course, have more questions for you, but this is the end of our show. Now, if some of our listeners have questions, of course, there's 2 opportunities for you to meet them. Today on Yokota at the Samurai Fitness Center, 4 to 6 p.m. You can go check it out. It's a gym clinic, first come, first serve. So if you get there early, try to make it. You'll have space, be able to meet up with them. Also, if you're on Yokosuka tomorrow at the Purdy Fitness Center, there's a meet and greet from 6:30 until 7:30. And this is all thanks to Armed Forces Entertainment. Thank you again, ladies, so much for stopping in.
Thank you so much
Thank you for having us. This is great.
It was absolutely all my honor. And so, guys, keep it locked in tight right here to Eagle 810. I've got Airman First Class Sam Burns. He's coming up with your 3rd degree.